If you can hear my mom in the background, but if you can, I apologize. She is currently loving the Lord a lot, which I don't have anything against, but she is being loud. So, but anyways, we are going to go ahead and study network management, which is a very good topic to be aware of as a network engineer. Hopefully she's not being too loud, but she is screaming right now. But we're going to kind of cover some of the purpose of organizational documents and policies and stuff like that. So network management. This video may be up or down later. I don't know. Because the music is very, very loud, and I cannot get her to turn it down. But anyway, network management. Network management is the process of administering and managing computer networks. So you're administering, you're managing it. Common documentations. What are some common documentations? There are physical network diagrams. There are logical network diagrams. So, physical network diagrams is the physical placement of the network. Logical network diagrams is the illustration of how the data flows between the different devices. The wiring diagram labels which cables are connected to which ports. Very important. And then there's apparently radio frequency site surveys. Never heard of those, but they are planning and designing a wireless network to deliver the required wireless solution, basically. So you're designing the wireless solution. Wired site survey determines if a site has the right amount of power, space, and cooling. So you're making sure that everything's getting the appropriate amount of power and stuff like that. Then there is an audit and assessment report delivered after a formal, so an audit and assessment report, and I wish, okay, delivered after a formal assessment that has been conducted. So audit and assessment report, it has a executive summary, scope and objectives. It has assumptions and limitations, methods, tools they're going to use, environment and system diagrams, security requirements, finding and recommendations, audit results. There is baseline configurations, basically the configurations on which everyone agrees upon and changes, like, it's baseline configuration is what everyone agrees upon how the system should be configured, basically. And I'm going to check my phone really quickly. Guys might want to go out. Alright, back to what we were talking about. I apologize for that. Performance network. So, when it comes to performance metrics, give me 1 second. Okay, so we're talking about managing a network. That's the basically main topic of this chapter. So, if we are going to perform, if we're going to, manage a network, we need to know the performance metric, which involves latency, bandwidth, throughput, jitter. As network plus, engineers, we need to know what latency is. Latency is the time it takes to for data to reach its destination across the network. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Bandwidth, maximum rate of data transfer across a given network. Throughput, actual measure of how much data is successfully transferred. And then there's jitter, when a time delay in sending and data packets over a network. And let's see. Then there's sensors, and when we talk about sensors, it's more of knowing what temperature, like there's sensors in a computer that tell you metrics on your computer. How much RAM you have, how hot is your computer, how hot is your processor. That's what they mean by that. NetFlow data, full packet capture, used to capture your entire packet. Flow analysis relies on flow collector to record the metadata and statistics. We're talking about Zeek. I've never heard of Zeek. Passively monitor the network like a sniffer. Multi-router traffic grapher creates graphs showing traffic flow. Never used one of those, but that's definitely going to be a good one to remember. Interface statistics, you got link lights, or link state. It's basically the lights that tell you if it's up or down, drops, flush, runt, giants, throttles, CRC. Frame, which is used to count the number of packets, overrun, if you're getting too much traffic due to something. And of course, all of these are examples of some of the stuff that we're going to have in order to monitor the data. So, and how that data is getting monitored. So for link lights, for example, there's a bunch of different, like on your computer, usually you're going to have link lights whenever you plug your Ethernet in. Green means your data is good, the traffic is good. Sometimes it might be orange, saying that there's a lot of traffic on the cable. It might be a little bit slow. And we use those in order to know and record. And we use those to see if we need to record data. To record the data on like a Grapher or Wireshark to see if there's any congestion. And then there's environmental sensors. Environmental sensors allow you to measure the degrees, basically. The temperature is what I was trying to get out. Because you need to maintain a humidity range of 40 to 60%, and the temperature, computers will not operate good if it is not between 50 and 90 Fahrenheit. And it needs to maintain a humidity range of 40 to 60%. Very, very important. The cooler and the more drier, the better, basically. And that pretty much is it for this chapter, but we'll go ahead and do a summary, just in case anyone missed. We talked about common documents that we use to manage networks, such as physical network, logical network diagram, wiring diagram. We talked about performance metrics on a network, such as latency, bandwidth, throughput, jitter. We talked about some of the sensors that computers use, which is essentially temperature, like how a computer uses sensors to measure the temperature on the motherboard, on the CPU, and all that. We talked about NetFlow data, such as how the packets are traveling between computers, and some software, such as Wireshark, can measure that, actually. We talked about interface statistics, such as link lights and stuff like that, which tell you how data is traveling. Is it congested? Is the data throughput good? It kind of tells you that. That's what it means by interface statistics, because you're interfacing the cable. You're putting your cable into an interface. And then we talked about environmental sensors. You want to make sure that the temperature is between 50 and 90 Fahrenheit. And so basically 75, I feel like, would be a good temperature. Or 68. And you need to maintain the humidity range to 40 to 60%. So it's good to have a humidity sensor, and it's good to have a, a temperature gauge in your house so you can record that. And that will be it for that chapter. I know that was a short chapter. It wasn't very long at all. But that's usually how you're going to... That's some of the stuff that you're going to use to manage your network to make sure that it's not going to die on you or anything, because you're responsible for that as a network engineer. You're going to be the one responsible for keeping everything up and running. So anyways, thank you for your guys' time. Thank you for coming and visiting, and